Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to tell you about how my admiration for Paul Simon got reignited. And it actually happened last night. I was wondering what to watch, and I thought I'd start off by having another look at Concert in Central Park from 1981, which I always had fond memories of, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I got into, I watched this concert from 1980. And then I watched the tribute to Paul Simon when he won the Library of Congress Award, and it had various artists performing. So it was a bit of a marathon Paul Simon evening last night, and it just brought it home to me how great his material is, particularly when at the time he was recording these two concerts, which was 1981 and 1980 respectively. He was just if not at the peak, very nearly at the peak of his powers. And that's what's so great about watching videos like that, because he looks young and Garfunkel looks young as well. Whereas if you watch videos or you go to concerts these days of these artists, they are all, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but it's a fact of life, they're getting older. So, by the way, it reminds me of Steve Ricks, you know, the comedian. He does impressions of the Beatles. He also does impressions of Freddie Mercury and Simon and Garfunkel. So I'm not going to read you out the whole verse, but if you check out Simon and Garfunkel's Scarborough Fair, Steve Ricks is dressing up as Simon and Garfunkel, and it starts with, "Are you going to laugh at my hair? Every day there's less of it there." And as I say, I won't tell you what the next lines are, but it's hilarious. Just thought I'd mention that. So, thing I noticed about this album is the Simon and Garfunkel songs sit very nicely together with the stuff he selects from his solo career. And there are several from Paul Simon's solo career. Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard, Still Crazy After All These Years, Late in the Evening, American Tune, Slip Sliding Away, Kodachrome, The Late Great Johnny Ace, and 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 solo songs. And some of them, Paul, like the two songs from Still Crazy After All These Years, Paul Simon tackles alone. And The Late Great Johnny Ace, which was the first time he'd played that, the song about John Lennon, he performs that on his own. But for the others, Garfunkel joins him on video, on vocals. And it's great to see, because he's doing a glorious harmony on American Tune in the verse. He's doing a pretty glorious harmony in Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard. Kodachrome is more or less singing along with Paul, apart from I think in the chorus there's a bit of harmony. And Late in the Evening is just, if anything, that's the highlight of the entire concert. The crowd really has just got, because they start the concert, I don't know, 6 or 7 in the evening when it's still light. And then an hour and a half in, it gets dark. And Late in the Evening is played just when it's getting dark. And the whole crowd goes berserk. And it's so successful, I'm not sure if they planned it, but it's so successful that they come back at the end and do an encore of Late in the Evening. So I think right now that is one of my favourite Paul Simon songs. I'm literally saying that out of all his catalogue. So other highlights of the concert would obviously include Wake Up Little Susie, the Everly Brothers number, Garfunkel Does a Heart in New York, the Gallagher and Lyle number, Chuck Berry number, Maybelline, and also the great Simon and Garfunkel songs, Mrs. Robinson, Homeward Bound, America, etc. Great band. Billy Joel's guitarist, David Brown, and Pete Carr also on guitar, Steve Gadd on drums, who played with a load of people, Richard T on keyboards, Anthony Jackson doing a superb job on bass, and Rob Mounsey on synthesizer, and then a whole horn section behind it. A little bit disappointed that the DVD has never been released with any bonus features. It could have, they could have done something similar to the concert for Bangladesh and included like some rehearsal footage or interviews backstage or something like that. And one thing I noticed, which I didn't know until yesterday when I watched it again, is the whole thing is directed by, can you guess? Michael Lindsay Hogg. So I didn't know that. So straight after watching that, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this concert ago, because this is from Philadelphia, from the One Trick Pony tour from 1980, and which also features late in the evening, so I wanted to see how that compared. And I've got an interesting bit of information here, and a bit of a mystery to solve, or not a mystery, but a talking point. So if you can help me, it'd be good. Tony Levin is playing bass on this tour, or at least on this concert. I'm not sure if he's playing bass on the whole tour, but let me give you the dates for the tours. Kicked off on September the 12th, 1980, and finished on November the 7th, 1980. So and this particular show in Philadelphia was recorded on October the 8th. So when the show was recorded, he'd already laid down the tracks for Double Fantasy with John and Yoko. Because I'm thinking that album got started on the 7th of August. And I'm thinking before, if Tony was allowed to leave to go on tour with Paul Simon, they must have laid down the basic bass and drums tracks before he left, which makes me think that they wrapped up those sessions early in September, and which freed Tony to go on the road with Paul Simon, and then return, as I say, in November. And then he is known to have gone to the studio once more with John, at least, in early December, to lay down the bass track for Walking on Thin Ice. So I just find it fascinating that Tony Levin had just come off what might be one of the buzzes of his entire life. He's just recorded a comeback album with John and Yoko, and then he goes on the road with Paul Simon. So I think that might be one of the reasons why in the Andy Peebles interview, Lennon is saying, yeah, we might take this Double Fantasy record on the road. Wouldn't it be fun? So we'll think about it before we take this very expensive set of session musicians out on the road. I'm wondering why he said that, and I was thinking either he talked to Paul Simon, who told him how much Tony Levin cost, or he asked Tony directly how much he's charging. And I guess a session musician of that caliber would not come cheap. So 22 concert tour Paul Simon took him on. I don't know how much it would have been, but I'm guessing it wasn't cheap. But anyway, John could have afforded it for sure, but he did make that remark. So yeah, so what else have we got to say? Oh yeah, on this concert here, I noticed a Tony Levin lookalike on the other side of the stage behind the drummer playing keyboards. And first of all, I thought there's Tony Levin playing keyboards on some tracks and playing bass on others, but then I spotted him playing the bass and I thought, hold on, who is that? So, and then sure enough, at the credits at the end, keyboards, Peter Levin, who turned out is Tony's brother. So no wonder they look identical, because they're brothers. So anyway, I thought that was quite amusing. And then, not having had enough of Paul Simon after that 1980 concert, I then went and played this in its entirety. I was up pretty late by the time it finished, and this DVD collects performances from people like James Taylor, Dionne Warwick, Alison Krauss, Lyle Lovett, Mark Anthony, Art Garfunkel comes on and does Bridge Over Troubled Water with Paul. Stevie Wonder comes on at the end. And it just struck me how diverse Paul Simon's songwriting is. You know, you got Jason Marley, I think it is, coming on and doing, no, Stephen Marley, sorry, Bob Marley's second son, coming on and doing Mother and Child Reunion, which is a reggae song. And then you've got like the track from Graceland, Under African Skies, is done with Miriam Makeba. And then you've got a very unique song, Diamonds on the Soles of My Shoes, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, should I say, with Lady Smith Black Mambazo, which is probably the highlight of the entire concert, and it brought back great memories for me of the Graceland concerts in 1987. I saw that tour 4 times, and Lady Smith Black Mambazo almost stole the show, to the point that I don't think he hardly did any Simon and Garfunkel songs on that tour at all. I think he just did the whole of the Graceland album with maybe a couple of other songs thrown in, but it wasn't a greatest hits by any means. It was very much focused on the album. And Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, just that dance that Lady Smith let me get this right, Lady Smith Black Mambazo do is just hilarious. They shake their feet and they show the soles of their shoes, and then they like turn around, and it's just, it must have taken a lot of choreography to learn, and just to highlight. Art Garfunkel, as I said, comes on and does Bridge Over Troubled Water. And what's interesting about that version is Paul Simon sings the second verse on his own, and then Art having sang the first verse, and then for the third verse they sing in harmony, apart from the last few lines when Simon lets Garfunkel do it solo when he reaches those high notes and stuff. Stevie Wonder coming on, playing harmonica for me and Julio, and then is guided to the piano, and they're doing Loves Me Like a Rock, with Paul Simon doing the first verse, the lead singer from the Dixie Hummingbirds doing the second verse, and then Stevie's about to do the verse If I Was the President, and then he breaks down in the middle and says, sorry, can we start again? And then he makes a joke to the audience and says, sorry, I forgot my cue cards. And then he even takes his glasses off for a second and smiles, and everyone's laughing their heads off, of course. And then, so they do the entire song again, and then Stevie nails the third verse, If I Was the President, and the Congress called my name, and he nails it, and it's a brilliant, rousing end to the concert, and that track is one of the most uplifting of Paul Simon's entire career. And the same, I would say, goes for Gone at Last, which was the great opening track of side 2 of Still Crazy After All These Years, the album from 1975. And here, instead of Phoebe Snow doing the vocal with Paul Simon, it's Yolanda Adams and Jessie Dixon alternating the verses, and do a stupendous version of it, brilliant. And then James Taylor does a wonderful version of Slip Sliding Away with the Dixie Hummingbirds singing along in the background, which is for the most part brilliant. He does make it a little bit difficult for himself by, instead of saying, you know, the nearer your destination, the more you slip sliding away, he goes, I say that the nearer your destination. So he includes an extra syllable, which for me would make it harder to sing, but he manages it. But it's a slight ad lib there. There's footage of Paul Simon singing Mrs. Robinson at the Yankees Stadium shortly after Joe DiMaggio passed away. That's very moving. This is just a joy of a concert, and as I say, it made me appreciate even more Paul Simon's songwriting. And there's a brilliant version of Father and Daughter, which was the newly released at the time of that concert. This was the latest album from him, and it's my favourite track on the album. I think it's up there with his best. In fact, I think this is his best latter-day album by quite a distance, actually. I really love it. So I'm going to get back into this album as well, which is thoroughly underrated, not least because Late in the Evening is on there, and on this concert he does Ace in the Hole and Jonah from that album, as well as the title track One Trick Pony, and Tony Levin's on good bass playing duty, as you might expect. So really enjoyed that. This book here is a little summary of his career, which goes through all the albums and all the tracks. It slightly dismisses One Trick Pony, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, but you know, the critics all have their opinion, and this was mine. And Paul Simon is a genius, and I've always known it, but last night reminded me of it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.